got plants in the hospital back here. It's so sad, like the plants have, you would think the plants would be doing so well. They've got this rainwater that I catch for them, and they're right in the windows with the best sun. There's just nothing natural going on. It's weird too, it's got to be, like, I don't even know if I can explain this very well, but it's got to be, as we are waking up, like the world was always fake, but we thought it was a certain way, and there was certain factors that were going on, like we would get vitamin D from the sun and stuff. And so then they start trying to cover it and cut us off from everything natural. Like that's part of their big thing, is to cut us off from everything natural, and then them to provide the escape, our virtual world. Oh, my stomach's growling. It's so funny too, because sometimes it'll start growling and I don't feel hungry. It just starts growling. So anyways, it's going to probably growl. It was weird too. This morning I got up and my favorite is my first cup of tea. So I made my cup of tea, and I went on. I had done a video right before I went to bed on TikTok, and then got up and there was tons of comments and stuff. So I was looking through the comments while my tea was seeping. And so then I got it and I started drinking it, and it tasted so funky. I was like, oh my gosh, is this about to happen? Maybe that's a part of it. Why, when I say, I'm just going to enjoy this creamer while I have it, because every time I try and go off of it, it's like, okay, so you go to half and half. Well, what are they doing to all the cows? So then you go to any kind of creamer, you're going to find chemical. I mean, we're so up against a wall on some of this stuff, unless you are really prepared and have your own farm, and, you've been creating your own seed and your own animal feed. And I mean, there's a lot that they got control over in our lives. And, now we have to suffer this situation to get ourselves out of it. I was even thinking too, it's kind of weird. I'll go back to the other thing that I was saying, but there's so many, injured people, that so many people with medical disabilities now, like me. And I was thinking, because when you become disabled with any kind of disability, that you don't just fit into their system, their limitations of what they create. Then and it stands out to you, like certain things, I started thinking, I wonder if there's some component to all this of so many people, so many more mass amount of people becoming disabled, and seeing how faulty the system is, because kind of like, so many of us just didn't pay any mind to people who were disabled and struggling. We're just kind of going about our own lives. And then to kind of switch and there to be so many people struggling, it really changes our view over, this defined way of being. And it's going to really create a lot more acceptance of disabled people. But I mean, it's still a temporary thing. We're still headed to this higher frequency kind of lifestyle where we can go in and heal ourselves. But I think seems like it's kind of part of the process, is part of the awakening, part of the seeing the truth is, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to have, there's a lot already. There has been since they started doing those right away, immediately started being injured people who are disabled. So I was going to keep growling. Anyways, so one of the things I was thinking about was, I thought I could remember if I went off for a second. But I forget what I'm talking about if I stop for 1 second. I'll have to go back to it, because then I start, that's where you kind of, like the transmission, the information that you are getting, and then you kind of get yourself you block it yourself because you start kind of paying, oh, wait, did I forget? Did I forget? The more that you can just let stuff flow in and not think about it and not block it. Because sometimes, something, and I'll be questioning it. I'll be questioning stuff as I'm even saying it in my head. And, but still, I still feel very motivated to say this stuff because it's like you're compelled when you're in mission or, whatever you want to call it, you are compelled to do stuff. It's like you don't have any choice. And the information they bring you is always what you need to know, is what they want you to understand for your own life path. So, I don't know. But one of the things too, so I was saying something about, that when I went to bed last night in that video and had a bunch of comments. And so I wanted to talk about some of that stuff that was on there. But one of the things yesterday, so I was watching that guy. I shared his videos. I was watching on TikTok. I just ran across one of his videos. And he was talking about all this stuff that I find interesting. Stuff about flat earth. He was talking about astrology. He was talking about the fake history. He was talking about, if you translated the religious stuff a little different, about language, about symbols, all this kind of stuff. And but he's super, super articulate. Man, this guy, the stuff he was explaining and stuff, and he wasn't going and getting a piece of paper and reading it. He didn't have a board. He has drawings and stuff that he makes. He's got little, he's produced little, like little earth things to show people. Like he's got all sorts of stuff. But his ability to explain stuff is really just, I thought it was really sensational. And so I was like, oh my God, I got to share this. This guy is so interesting. So on TikTok, he has tons of videos. So I didn't watch the ones on YouTube, but I shared the links on the YouTube. But if anybody wants, I think on his YouTube, you can find the links to his, because I guess he's also on Instagram. I don't know what all he does on Instagram, if he goes live and has videos on there. I'm not sure. I don't even know what all you can do on Instagram, but I know, a lot of people are on there. The only thing I was ever on there before was just sharing pictures and looking at other people's pictures. And, it was way better than Facebook. But still, there's a lot of fake world on Instagram, that's for sure. A lot's been exposed about Instagram now. So I'm not sure what he does on there, but TikTok, he has tons of videos. And he is very, very interesting. Because I feel like he talks about a lot of stuff I talk about, only he can explain it so much more clearer. So, but there was a few things he said that I was not in total alignment with. Like, I can't remember all of the things, so much stuff. But I was just like one video after another. I was like, man, I'd watch a whole documentary of this guy explaining this stuff. It was really, really interesting. So I wanted to share that, for anybody who is interested. I would think anybody who listens to stuff I'm talking about would be interested in the same kind of stuff. So I was just like, I got to share his information, because he can sit there and explain stuff scientifically, and he uses all the right words. And I don't know. I just really did appreciate his videos. So I wanted to share. But one thing is, so before I went to bed, I had done it because on TikTok, I just keep seeing all these people. They're all panicking over us losing our sovereignty as a country. But really, it's like we already have. That's already happened. And this is the awakening to what has already been done, and having to see the truth. And what I noticed, so to me, when I did my video, I was saying, the stuff I believe, like, you have to live free. We're sovereign. This whole thing behind the straw man and the maritime law and our birth certificates and all of this stuff, like, the reason they do our name in capital. It's all these rules that they have tried to trap us in to their system. But when you claim yourself as sovereign against them, again, that we have free will, we have God-given rights, then it takes away their power. And even if, like, I mean, people still are like, well, you could still be killed. Yeah. But if I'm killed, that's because it was supposed to happen that way. I'm not going to make it happen by me claiming my sovereignty. That's my own state for my own well-being, that I have to know who and what I am. And I'm not going to participate in their system. I'm not going to do what they say to get food or water or shelter or any of this stuff. I will figure out how to survive on my own and come in and take my house or whatever. Like, there's so much stuff that people are panicking about. And I think that, like I've said, we don't need as much food to live off of. We need to become more independent in feeding ourselves, apparently, because that was always a trap. And they're just showing now, they're just waving their dicks in our face, like, we have control. Well, you can turn away. You can say, hey, not me. I'm not here for this show. So, you can pull free in that way. And I think it's a big part of understanding that you don't need as much food. And that, I mean, even with the electricity, when they turn the electricity off, yeah, it's a big pain in the ass because we're dependent. We got our refrigerators and our lights and all that stuff. But really, people made it without it way longer than they've made it with it. People were making it without having, restaurants everywhere and huge amounts of food stockpiled in their house and electricity running everything. People were making it way before we got ourselves into this situation. It all has to do with consumerism and gluttony. And that was one of the things, too, that I really liked. I'm pretty sure he was saying it. And I saw someone else yesterday also, right before I saw him. They were explaining about the chakras. And it was all the stuff I was seeing was the same stuff I learned in the chakra class where I was. But, the lower chakras keep you on autopilot. It keeps you just automatic responses. You're not really consciously living your life. You're just responding to what life gives you or has you, or whatever you want to say. You're just in response to everything that's happening. You're just automatically doing what you're going to do because you're living in pain. So that is part of the moving up the chakra system, and healing yourself and becoming more aware, more where you are more, the word that I can't, more thoughtful, more, you're living more directly when you are, you have an understanding. And so the people, who are, in panic, like the schools are failing them, the jobs are requiring things, all of the things that they hold over us. It's only the power that we give those things that they can dangle that power over us. When we can understand that those things don't have power over us, then it is the freedom. They can turn off the power and I can still survive. I have candles if it's too dark. I can find things to do besides sit here and, have this TV entertainment system going. Which I was a show I wanted to share about. But, you can cook outside. You can, we can figure out how to have foods, like all of the dried beans and stuff. People had to figure out all of this stuff before there was refrigerators. Like, we become dependent on things that aren't necessary to our survival. They're luxuries, and people don't want to go without. That is this reprioritizing. What are you willing to sell? Are you willing to sell your soul? Are you willing to sell your freedom? Are you willing to sell your rights? What are you willing to give to them for what they will offer to you. And I had seen somebody say something about, well, we should just stop paying our bills. Well, I stopped paying in 2020. I'll pay the bills that I need for survival here. If I'm going to keep having electricity, then I'll pay it. I'll pay my water. I'll pay my house payment. I'll pay my insurance. But I stopped paying my credit cards. I stopped paying bank loans. I stopped paying creditors because it's part of the system. And we all fear that, like, oh, they make us feel really shitty about ourselves. I just don't answer the phone. I don't talk to them. I throw the letters away that they send. I don't give them any power in my life to convince me of how they want me to feel about myself. I ignore it. And nothing's happened. Even if they do some lawsuit and they say, well, we're going to attach this lien on your house. Well, I know that the banks are going down. So no matter what they do, all of the bank debt's going to be lifted. And it's happening. I mean, there's already so many things that are happening. People are getting weird checks in the mail. People are getting loans wiped out. So it is happening. And maybe those are just little things for us paying attention to remind us, yes, this is happening. Don't stress out. We are headed towards this Jubilee. Oh, that was one thing he said. Yeah. Was he was saying about the ages, and he was talking about that we're in the age of darkness right now, where people don't understand. But see, that is where I say, in the age of Aquarius, there's the aspect of being in the dark, and then there's the light. I think we are in the part of the light. Some people are still in the dark. So we're in that transition still. We aren't even fully in the light yet. When we get into the light, all will be exposed. And it will be painful, but it will also be a relief. Because there's so many of us who are on the edge of our seats waiting for this exposure of the truth, And so I know everything is changing. I know we're changing into this this time of freedom, but you can see not everybody. Some people are here to go through the experience, to learn from the experience, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to transform and be a part of what's to come. The people who are going to be a part of what's to come are going to be really set and understanding and pulling free from the system and not holding on to it. You know what I mean? I know that we all have to have money coming in and stuff. Like, there's nothing wrong with staying at your job, but if your job comes at you and starts making demands, then it's up to you to decide. It's everything, whatever you continue with your life in this system. It's when they come at you and make demands. If you don't want to comply, then if you do comply when you don't want to comply, that's going against your soul. So that is where you have to find that balance. So you can stay any part of the system. It's when the system is failing you that you need to pull free. Like these people who, we just need to go and elect the right people and everything will be fine. No, that will never happen. That will never happen. So if you want to hold on to that, and keep doing that, I see that as being a waste of energy, but it's what those people need to go and learn, that there is no saving the system, and why would we want to? And the same with the education. Like, I would have pulled my kids out already, but there's still people who, believe that that's the only way. You want your kids to be educated. You don't want your kids to be stupid. You want your kids to have a good future. But see, they're just not looking it all the way through. They've got little kids. They don't know the end game. Like, I've already gone through that bit, so I already know what happens. So I have more perspective, more insight than somebody who is just going through the experience. Like next door, where she's trying so hard, she's trying to be a part of the school, and, she doesn't believe that the schools are doing anything wrong. And so she's trying to be involved. I was a very involved mom too. You know, I was going to all of the stuff. I was always one of the room moms, or going on any of the little day trips that they would do. I would always participate in school. So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people who are trying to do that, but this system, the creation of the school was not for the purpose what people think. And so there is no saving it. It's a part of the government institution. So there's only, you know, to recognize the tyranny and figure out, what do you want? What do I want? How do I want my kids to be educated? You know, for me, I would develop some sort of homeschool group, or, you know, I would just start teaching my kids, taking them out in nature, you know, get books to look stuff up, teach them how to take care of themselves, teach them how to run a household, teach them how to read and write. And, you know, there's so much books, there's so much the world can educate you. I think it's even called like a rogue scholar, like people who have educated themselves and they get a degree or something. I'm not sure. You can look it up, but I think it's something about that. So if they acknowledge that you can educate yourself, then why do we feel like we need to go in and have them educate us? You know, but that's what each person has to understand. And there's a reason why there's young people who are having young families right now who have to develop that understanding, you know, and some of them will be the future in our education. But education is going to change because it's going to become a lot more geared towards the individual, you know, and it's up to families to become involved in understanding. You know, this is, it's great to see how many people are really taking charge of their kids right now, but there's so many people who aren't, that still line up to be compliant to the system, that want to be accepted and thought of as a good person. That is you going outside of yourself to have somebody say, "Hey, you're a good person. You're great," instead of doing what you need to do to develop that in yourself. That's where they've got people caught. They're going to them for having what is that? I just did a video about this too. They're going to them for the view of themselves, for the view of the person, instead of understanding themselves and declaring their sovereignty and working on themselves and loving themselves. They can't decide that they're a good person unless the system tells them they're a good person. So, you know, that's a lot to learn. They have things they're learning because this is all individual. This isn't like a big, I mean, it's a big thing, but it's all different people learning all different things. And it's all things that their soul is here to learn and understand. So the medical is 100%, like, I left that system. Like, I'm not going to depend on medical for anything. And one thing too is, even when you get yourself to this place where you feel like you've left the system the best as I can. I mean, I still have a house, I still have a bank loan, and you know, I'm still on Social Security. I still have my disability insurance, but I'm also working towards not having that by developing my own business, with having my own, you know, taking time to rent my house out to other travelers when I'm traveling. And, you know, that's something that would work for me. But everybody has to figure out what will work for them. One thing too, after I was just saying about the house stuff, is that somebody said that there's a lot of these people who are going in and buying up all of these houses to make Airbnbs, which is forcing more of the poor people into these expensive apartment living that they're trying to, you know, jam pack us all into that. It's so crazy too. Is because yesterday I was outside and it was super stormy, and the wind, when the wind gusts up, and the trees bend and stuff. It's pretty scary. And I was looking outside and I was noticing that the trees on the outside, how much more they bend and how much the trees depend on other trees to keep them safe from from nature or the wind or whatever. That they depend on each other as a community, and the ones that are on the outside are the most fragile, the most the most see, that guy didn't do stuff like this where he couldn't remember his words. That the most well, fragile, you get what I'm saying. But anyways, so when I was out there and I was looking at this storm, and I was thinking about the neighbors, and they come in here and move into a place and then clear cut their lots, and they're all scared of the trees. But if we all moved out from the cities, if we all started going out and moving out from the cities and started taking up places and open, like if you went into a forest and people started building places without having to clear everything out, just found clearings, and like out here where I'm at, like there was a lot of overgrowth, but there are still places between the trees. The trees aren't all touching in all places, There is still a clearing out and a cleaning up that can be done, taking down the small scraggly trees that are, taking water from the big stronger trees. So there is a way to keep the forest healthy. And it's just weird as why we all jam pack into these cities when there's so much land out there. And if people went and they started living out in the forests and stuff like that, then it would keep the forest more healthy. We would be participating with nature and taking care of it, and it would take care of us. And the same thing too is with all of these people, and I know I've told this story before, but I'm going to say it again, is all of these people who are so worried about, these people who are buying up all of the farmland. And, so if you own 1 million acres or 100,000 acres or 2 million acres, I don't even know all the amounts of acreage these people are buying, but I can guarantee you that they don't have it fenced. They don't have it all guarded and blocked off. There's a lot of land out there that they claim they own. But don't forget about that story I told about the Spokane fire chief and what he was doing to all these different people. He did it a bunch of times. He didn't just do it one time. I just happened to meet one of the people who did it too. And so he would go out to places where people had a lot of property. So people aren't going when they have a lot of property, even on outer range, like they start arguing about these pieces of property. They don't have time to go out and look all day long at all their property and make sure nobody's on it. Especially these huge amount of acreage. I mean, the guy who was doing this, the fire chief, he wasn't doing it to people who had millions of acres. He was doing it to people who probably had hundreds of acres. But so he would go and find a place that he wanted on their property, and he would start working the land, start putting stuff out there, claiming it as his own. Hey, this is my property. And then they would find out and they say, hey, dude, you got to get off my property. But homesteading is like squatting. You can't force them. They've already started working that land. Now you can claim that land as their own. And he was, so it would end up in court, and he always won. He always won in court, because there is, no matter how much they want to deny us these rights or make us feel like that we don't have any rights, we do have rights. We have rights as a living soul. That's the whole argument right now between the Constitution and them trying to take away our rights. Well, even if they say, hey, there is no Constitution, the Constitution is based on me having rights as a living soul. You can't take away my rights. If I say I've got rights, I've got rights. You want to shoot me in the head over it, then that's on you. That will be your deal. That won't be my deal. but I know I have rights, and I'll stand up for my rights. It doesn't matter if they say, hey, we're taking away your rights. It just doesn't work that way. Just think about, too, like the whole natural law of order. Like if you have a ghost, a spirit in your house, if you have any kind of energy, you can command it to go. I command the energy to go all the time. It's like, if you're not here for my best interest, if you're here just to harass me, bother me, or anything, then I command you to leave. You can demand the kind of energy that you will allow in your orbit. And we're moving that into this more in the physicality, where people are having to really see like what they allow into their orbit. A lot of people have allowed a lot of tyranny, and a lot of people feel very trapped because it is a prison. It's an imprisonment slave system. So they feel very trapped because part of the system is to beat you down as part of the abuse, beat you down to make you feel like you have no value, you have no worth. You got to just take what you can get and shut the fuck up. But that is, they can only do that to you if you believe that about yourself. That's why they try and keep so hard on keeping people beat down, keeping people hopeless and helpless, because you don't have your value. You don't see yourself as having value. You have to see yourself as having value. That's why they took arts out of school and creativity out of school, because it develops parts of you that they don't want you to know exist. So music, art, all of the stuff that we do that is a creative instinct of a soul, they are trying to separate you from your soul, from your existence. They are trying to control your existence. But you have to know it in your heart. You have to know your value. You have to know they don't have control, that there is God-given rights. There's God's law. There is a universal, well, I saw some things yesterday too, and they were talking about the Federation, the Galactic Federation, and another thing that I've heard it called too. But, there is like a galactic police force, there is the laws of God, the laws of life. And, that's why they do so much effort into tricking us. So we participate without knowing. That's why it's so much about disclosure, why it's important to understand what they're tricking you into participating in. And so yesterday, I had this one movie that I had just ran across this day, and I think I talked about it before, called Jack's Apocalypse. Just kind of this low budget, weird kind of movie, but it had a couple of disclosure things in it, about don't drink the water, and it had some pertinent stuff to what's going on here. But I had a lot of people commenting and stuff, and then somebody said, oh, you should watch Outer Range, which, I already said that one is a good one. And then this one that starts on the 20th, I think it's called Night Skies. It looks good. But so somebody said, I saw a clip of this other one. Oh, and some other people said Upload too, but Upload just freaks me out because it's this whole thing about this virtual world. You can create your virtual world. I don't want to create a virtual world. I'm already a projection in this one. I'm not going to I'm not going to lose this opportunity to live this, to project myself into another one that is created by somebody else. No, I'm going to go with the natural creator and why I'm here, to learn from this projection. So it's just weird how they just are trying to, it is like the micro, macro, But anyways, so Upload, it just kind of freaks me out because it's like, oh yeah, you can make this beautiful world and you can go in here and you can do this and do that. Well, I'd rather do that in my physical form, And but this other one, so I saw somebody share this clip of this one, and it's called Utopia. It starts with a Utopia. Because isn't that other one, Utopia, the kid sex one, starts with an E? Well, anyways, this starts with a U, and it's on Prime. And so far it has a lot of disclosure, but oh my gosh, it is dark. It is so violent. I had to get up and walk out of the room through some of the stuff. I don't even know that I'll finish it. I think I'm on episode 2 or 3 and was like, oh my God, I gotta turn this off. It's so full of disclosure, but it is dark. Like it is, because there's so much about this corporate espionage. I mean, when we think about these groups, these men in black that are now, the what are they, assassin, cleaner, whatever, that's what everything is about in this show. It shows how disposable, whatever it is, their information that they want, or they're trying to get, or they're trying to block, or they're trying to create, or whatever it is they're doing, we're all expendable. We're just, they're focused on their espionage, greed lifestyle. And, they have things like they can just walk up to you and put an oxygen mask. Like one of their tricks was to go to the door. They're dressed in suits from, what are those people, like the electric company or whatever. They're wearing some kind of uniform. They say they're from the gas company and there's a gas leak, and knock on the door. We've got an emergency. There's a gas leak, and they're carrying a tank. And the person's like, oh, I didn't know. And then they go, here, we need you to breathe that oxygen. And it kills you in 1 second. So that's true. All of the things that they shows in there that they can really do, they really do this stuff. We really do live in this world that is, we're expendable, because they're all fighting over trying to become God. So, but remember, every single life that you come into, you came into it for a reason. You came into it for a purpose. You came into it to learn and understand and evolve. So there's reason we come in to go through all of this tyranny, and there's reason why it's all being exposed to us now, because it's the end of it. It's time for us to take control of this reality, and it is up to us to, I think, kind of a part of this conscious collective that is part of the process, that they have to go through this stuff with the WHO, and they have to go through it's like a certain way that they need to go through it to get to their awakening. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Because I feel like if we all came together right now as a collective, we could end all this, through our vision, through what it is that we all want, through us all becoming, this common denominator of change, for us to recognize and to say, we're not going to allow that. It is so much about our consciousness pulling free from the system. But so many people are keeping the system alive because they're fighting the system. They want to change the system. They want to make it different. It's ending no matter what. The system is ending. I mean, that's a cosmic thing. That's the end of times, or whatever. The end of time, because how we have been enslaved to their time, the masters of this universe. So they are ending. Their reign is ending. That's happening. But there's so many people who keep it alive because they are still so involved in it. And I'm not talking about involved in the way like you have a job and you go and you live your life and then you focus on you. That is what we need to all be. Just focused on ourselves, not focused on what they're trying to do to control us. And then when they step in and they start saying, hey, you're going to do this or you're going to do that. No, I'm not. Because, I had thought about this a lot because, I've been ticketed. I've got the freaking animal control with those neighbors harassing me. And they had even called me in for jury duty a couple of, I think it was like 2 months ago or something. And, I just wrote on there, I have a brain injury, I can't come and be a juror, but I could have just said, I'm not, I'm a living being. I'm not a part of your judicial system anymore. And that, it could have been a lot more paperwork or something. I mean, I had the easy way out to just go, hey, I got a brain injury. I can't come in and do your jury duty. But I don't want to go into any of their courts. I don't even want to go into the stores. I don't want anything to do with any of their stuff. Yeah, I'm going to keep going and getting food while there's food to be gotten. But I also have prepared, I've got flour, I've got a water source that could dry up, and then, I mean, you just have to face whatever comes. You just have to know that you can face it. You can deal with it. People just get so fearful. Oh my God, this is going to happen. No, this is going to happen. Oh, what if this happens? They just don't believe in themselves. They don't know their own power. And that's part of this consciousness development of being able to understand that you do have power. You have as much power as you believe you have, but it's part of this transformation that has to occur for people to really understand it in themselves. So I don't think there's something wrong. If like you have a job and you like your job and you don't have any issues and you go and you get your money, and I would still be preparing for what's to come, because I don't know what jobs will still be available. I mean, the way they have it, the way they're, moving us forward, there won't be any jobs anyways. They're going to put them all as AI. I mean, the only way that you will be able to get food or anything is your however they grade you on your compliancy to the system. That's the only way you'd get resources. And they're going to jam pack everybody into small living because it's all for them. It's all for their benefit. It's the way that they keep us trapped. But they can't keep you trapped if you know the way out. You know what I mean? It's like they have a whole pond of these fish that just stay there because they don't think that there's anywhere else to go. But really, if we just go down a little deeper or a little to the side, we can find ways to move out of that stream and into another. But, people have to be looking. And when they don't think they have value and they think that, that they have to do what they're told, then they're going to keep participating. So, I would say, if your job starts harassing you, that would be the time to leave. But also, like I saw somebody say, well, should I get all my retirement out? I would get all my retirement out and buy gold or silver. If you want to have something substantial, if you want what you have already done, the work you've already done to matter to you, I would use that to get something that's real, because everything that they're playing with isn't real. So you can take that pretend money out right now, and if you can get it fast enough, I mean, all this stuff is happening faster and faster and faster. So if you got your money out fast enough and went and bought a bunch of, like, if you have a substantial amount, I would probably buy gold, but I would definitely buy some silver, because silver is supposed to go up so much because of all of the repressed technologies that silver will be used for. So I would buy silver, I wouldn't be doing any of the Bitcoins or anything. I would be trying to figure out ways to become independent, looking for pieces of property or whatever it is that you feel like you're going to be ready to do. To me, for me, I'm going to keep taking the money as long as they give it. I'll just, everything that I encounter, I will deal with it when it happens. But I will, and I've got stuff that I'm trying to grow out here for food. And then I have beans and whatever stuff here, dry beans and flour to make more bread. And so I even got some corn flour because, a lot of indigenous people lived off of making like corn tortillas and beans. Like, people lived off of that. It sounds like, oh my God, to us, because we have forgotten. what it is to survive. We've surrendered our soul to a system. So anyways, I would think, for me, I'm going to continue in the direction that I'm going and keep getting my house ready and, be a little bit more nomadic of a lifestyle for me. But, if I found a community that I want to, and that's another thing too with communities, I think that communities can claim sovereignty against the rulers. I think that more communities that build up, I think there's something to this whole commune and this church and the rules. So the rules that they use, we can use. We can use their rules right back on them. So we could develop commune communities where we all live in cooperation with one another, doing our parts, and claim sovereignty against the government, against the rulers, against the system. So when you're self-sustaining, so I think that, more people, especially the ones with families and stuff and men who can go out and start homesteading and stuff, I would totally be doing that. I would leave the school. If I was a young family, I would totally be like, let's go find a place, let's homestead. I'll teach the kids, we'll work the land together, and we'll create the lifestyle that we want, And I think people would find that you will have a lot more free time living that way than living in this enslavement system where you can never get ahead. And they just raise the taxes and take more money, raise the rent, take more money, raise the price of cars, raise the price of gas. They just keep us, struggling all the time. But since they own all of the pharma, they're going to continue to do that because we support them when we feel sad, when we feel hopeless, when we feel helpless, and everybody wants a pill. I saw a commercial yesterday that said, take control of your health. Start this pill. It's like, that is not controlling your health. That is surrendering your health. Controlling your health is taking care of yourself. It is eating right and exercising, tuning into your own vessel and discovering what your vessel needs to survive. And all of these different natural remedies and we've got weeds around us that are good for us. And they've told us for so long, kill the weeds, kill the weeds. I can't even believe how many people of these foragers and stuff, videos I've seen over all these different weeds. There's weeds out in people's yard that is the same as like morphine. And they're running down and buying street drugs, Everything that we need is around us. It's all provided for. Is that when we overlook it, when we feel like that the people who are trying to trick us have all the answers. So, I say, as long as you're any part of the system, always be prepared. Just remember I said, don't hold on tight to anything. You got to just, it's a loose kind of way of participating, knowing it can be pulled out from under you at any time. So be prepared for what's to come. And, and who knows how far this is going to go. That's one thing, is we don't know how far this is going to go. I don't think it's going to go into years of us in starvation. And if it did, it would be because people needed to learn to come back together, to form communities. That you can survive on flour and water. You don't need to be able to go to Applebee's on Sunday to survive. You know what I mean? So anyways, there's a lot for people to learn, and there's still so much of people who just want to hold on. Oh, what I was going to say about that cup of tea though, is like, I don't know all of a sudden if now I can just taste the plastic in the creamer. I'm hoping that it was just some weird thing, but if that's part of the process, is to have to release my morning cup of tea, then, so be it. I will survive. And that is one important thing, is anything that you're enjoying, that you love as part of this system, is really enjoy it, because it is temporary, you know. Enjoy everything that you have. And that is part of the lessons in life, is enjoying what you have while you have it, because it can be gone at any moment. Any of us can be gone at any moment. Anything can happen at any moment. And it probably will. We're at a time of change. We're at a time of transformation. And we're moving in to this time of light where everyone will see the truth. There will be no more darkness. There will be no more confusion. So, and a lot of people are, it's just shocking sometimes. Some of the things that I see people say on TikTok is very shocking. But, you know, people have a lot to learn. There's a lot of lessons in all of this. And it is going to be beautiful when people do learn. And we can't stress out about the people who won't learn. I mean, they're here to learn that, you know. So, you know, those of us who do see the light, and we do understand, we are the trailblazers for this new world. So, and we have to, you know, keep it in our vision, to know the truth and to know where we're headed. And no matter how much these other people want to be scared and feel all of this loss, it's their process. It's what they have to go through. But we have to continue to hold the light. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.